I'm Tino Duran. Naturally, I'm bilingual, bicultural, and today I'm by myself here. I've done this many a times. When he says I do it with a passion, my passion is translated, I'm glad I'm at Catholic University, to faith. Daring the eyes beyond what the mind can see, daring the soul beyond what the eyes can see. I'm always looking forward, but it's a passion. It's a passion, but at my older age, I'm going to be 73 October 24th, and I keep telling everybody, since the beginning of January, I've been saying I'm 73, and they say, well, when's your birthday? October 24th. Well, you'll be 73 then? I said, why are you saying? I said, I was alive 9 months as a fetus. So 9 months added to my last birthday, I'm 73. And I said, I don't believe in abortions and all that other kind of stuff. And I said, so naturally, I always add another 9 months to my age. I said, so I'm 73. And my wife said, you keep on saying you like you want to be old. I said, it doesn't really matter. I'm not worried about age. I just worry about the time that the Lord has given me, and I'm here. As long as I'm here, I don't care if I get to be 85 or 88 or 97 or 90 or 100. I'm here, and the Lord has me here, so that's what counts, the time He's given me. I don't care how old I am. If I still have that faith there in the soul beyond what the eyes can see, I can do it with passion, and that's passion. The definition of passion is faith. And I do everything with faith. I don't do anything without prayer. This morning I prayed, and I called my wife, said, will you pray for me again? And she said, you've done it many times. I said, if I've done it 100 times, I need for you to pray for me 100 times. So I'm telling you, it's a pleasure coming to Lake University. I used to live in public housing in Arizona Pacha Courts, and I used to come here in a bicycle without fenders and drive around the campus, never knowing that one of these days I was going to be a guest speaker for a business class or a class such as this. And the bike didn't have any fenders, so whenever it was raining, I had a line across my back. And so it was a lot of fun. And I used to get on the second floor. They used to have a fire escape and put wax paper, because we didn't have any foil, and put wax paper and come about 10 miles an hour. And that used to be a ride. We used to come over and ride from Arizona Pacha all the way up here. The history of La Prensa, it started in 1913, ended in 1959. My wife's family, father, grandfather, and 7 uncles worked in the old La Prensa from 1921 to 1946. I sold La Prensa in front of the Alamo when I was 7 years old for about 3 or 4 years. We had a grocery store on Leona and Guadalupe called La Suprema, the Supreme. And my father was 27 years old. He had gotten the store. He was an illegal immigrant. And luckily, he had the wisdom for me to be born on this side. Otherwise, I'd be deported right now. But the fact remains that we had a grocery store. We had a store here, a molino here, and an ice house, because we had ice boxes. People could not afford electric refrigerators. So we had ice boxes. And we sold ice, and we had about 5 little houses in the square block. La Manzana, they call it. Square block is called La Manzana. The lady from Laredo knows that. But anyway, the fact is that all of a sudden Dad gets sick June 19, 1940, dies June 26, 1940. Mama's 25, I'm 4. Mama doesn't know what to do with the store, because my father used to tell her, stay at the house and take care of Tinito. You have a maid, just all you have to do is take care of Tinito. Don't take care of anything else. You don't have to cook, you don't have to wash, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to iron. You have that maid there, and I'm here at the store with my employees. You need anything, just holler, and I'll get it to you. I'll let the maid come over and get what she wants. Mom didn't know anything about the business. So we go and get an aunt in Monterrey who is 32 years old. She had a little store right in the front room. She had a Coke machine, she had potato chips, Fritos, sodas, and a few other things. Not more than maybe 20 items, but she had a little store. And Mama, at her age of 25, didn't know any better. That's the story I got from my mama. And we went to get my aunt to help us run the business. We brought her over. In 2 months, she ran us out of the business. And we were left without a business. My father had not left anything, any documentation to prove that my mama was the owner. And my mama said she told my aunt, my blood and Tino's blood, and we're married to Florentino Mejia. My real name is Mejia. I was adopted at the age of 16. And it's the same blood. He says, no, the man that died is my blood. You have no relationship here. I don't care about your marriage certificate. There's no documentation. Mama says that for 2 months she was looking. She came to the house and opened the drawers and was looking all over. And my mama asked her, what are you looking for? She says, I'm looking for any bills that he might have outstanding so I could pay him. And I'm trying to see if there's any bills that I need to, or any bonds that he left so I could give you the money. But she was looking for documentation to prove, either prove or not prove, that my mother was the owner. She couldn't find any evidence that my mother was the owner, so she took over. We were left out in the street. She said, get the hell out of here. We left. We came to 1113 Guadalupe, a little house. We were paying $4.50 a month. It was too much for Mama. Got a job at Gunner Hotel at 15 cents an hour. She spoke only Spanish. I spoke only Spanish. And consequently, we couldn't afford it, so we moved to Alasana Apache Courts, where we were going to pay $3.10 a month for a little hole in the wall. But it was nice. It was clean. My mama kept it very clean, and she worked and left me at Blessed Sacrament every day because I was still 4. I was not in school. When I became of age, I was suspended from 7 elementary schools because I refused to speak English. I would go into the class and sit in the back of the class, and the teacher would come over to me. My paternal grandfather used to come over from Monterrey, Mexico, and ask me, are you speaking English, little one? And I would say, no. He said, you better not, because I'll come and kick your little butt. I'll come and kick your little butt. And he was big, and all right, Grandpa, I promise you. He says, you're a Mexican. You're nothing else but a Mexican. Think about that. And you're going to go back to Mexico because I'm going to send you to school over there. All right, Grandpa, I'm not going to speak English. So the teacher would come over, and they would say, Florentino Mejia. She would call roll call, and some little white guy in front would say, that's him in the back. She would come over and say, are you Florentino Mejia? And I would say, no hablo inglés. I knew everything she was telling me. I said, no hablo inglés, no hablo inglés, no hablo inglés, no hablo inglés. She said, get up. You sound like a parrot. Get up. And she would go to the principal's office, down the hall. Well, I would go TDY. I just get out, walk out in the alley, and I wouldn't go back to school. I would go home, and I couldn't get in because we had a key. And I go back to the Alasana Apache Courts. I would go in the creek, looking for little rocks and doing all kinds of stuff. And finally, Mother would get home, and she said, how was school? I would say, it was good. Did you have any homework? No, I'm very smart, Mama. I don't need homework. I don't do homework. Well, all of a sudden, she would find out that I had, in the attendance, I had 59 days that I had been absent because I would never go back to school. I would go to the motions in the morning, and she would give me a lunch, but I'd eat it on the way to an alley and looking for bamboo sticks and all kinds of stuff. But I was not a behavioral problem. Simply, I did not want to speak English. So I was suspended from 7 schools. I would go from one school to another. And much to my dismay, she took me to Sacred Heart. And she got me into Sacred Heart, and a big priest came out. And he looked at me, and my grandfather used to tell me, if you speak English, you're going to get freckles on your face, and your eyes are going to turn blue, red, all kinds of stuff. He says, you're going to have some problems. So when I saw that priest with freckles, I said, oh my God, my grandfather was right. And Mama took me in and said, I don't know how she was going to get me to go to a Catholic school when we didn't have any money. But she took me there. He says, been suspended from 7 elementary schools. He got all U's. It was U's, unsatisfactory, and S's satisfactory. And I want to get him into school. Well, Mama, the priest looks at my mother and says, get him out of here. Get him out of here. Take him out. Mama goes out and he says, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Look how embarrassed I am in a Catholic school, and you embarrassed me. They didn't even talk to me about tuition because you embarrassed me. Look at this report card. She started crying, and there's been a video done on the story that I'm telling you. It's done by a friend of mine, and I would play it on CTSA Channel 15, and they got some actors to play the part, and Mama starts crying, and she embraces me, and then she lets me go and slaps me 3 times. I start bleeding. She embraces me again. I have blood on her white blouse, and she says, "We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. Your father is gone. I'm not educated. I can't speak English. You can't speak English." I said, "Mama, I can speak English." "Well, why don't you speak English?" "Because I don't want to. I'm afraid of Grandpa." "Don't be afraid of your Grandpa." I said, "I promise you, Mama, from now on I'm going to speak English, and better English than some of the people here, and better Spanish than my brothers and sisters across the border. I promise you, Mama." He said, "All right, I'm going to take you to Crockett Elementary." She took me to Crockett on West Commerce. I was accepted on probation. And I was on probation. Mama put me in the cafeteria to work with an African-American lady, Jeannie. I'll never forget her because she was teaching me English. She said, "Spoon, cuchara," and she was very bilingual. And I would give the tray and said, "What do you put in there?" I said, "Jugo de naranja." No, orange juice." "What do you give him?" I gave him un tenedor. No, fork. Okay. And she was teaching me English. And then I got into the school patrol. I became the captain of school patrol. I became the captain of softball team, and I started getting the energy and trying to make my mama proud. So my mama would show up at every event that I was a speaker or everything else. I went into Hawthorne because I had belonged to a little gang called Espiga, and I was the captain of the gang, the leader of the gang, but I never. They wanted to put tattoos, love and hate. I said no. My mama will kill me. She'll break my fingers if I put something on my. My mama was very strict. She used to get a little novelita. Remember the novelas in the old days? They were about as big as this. And she would read me the novella in Spanish, and then she would ask me, "What did I read you?" And I would say, "This is the story you read me." She would clap her hands, and she said, "I got a surprise. Half a glass of milk and 2 cookies." I don't know where she got the cookies, but she would give me cookies. And that was 5 days a week. I don't think Mama knew what she was teaching me, but I have a good memory. I think she was teaching me retention. I don't think she knew what she was teaching me, but she was teaching me retention because we had a story 5 days a week, every night. We live in Al San Apache Court, and this is so keep me from going out at night. So, and it was amazing because she would read me a story, and I would look at her, and she said, "Don't. What are you looking at? Why are you looking at the ceiling? Do we have cockroaches? Do we have roaches? What do we have?" "No, Mama, I'm trying to concentrate." "Concentrate by looking at me." Like, "All right, Mama, okay. Consequently, I'm very good at interviews. I'm tip-top. I'm the epitome, the pinnacle for interviews. Oh, I love to do an interview. I like to have somebody interview me because I'm great. I'm beyond excellence, okay? And I'm modest. But the fact remains, and now I want to see how did I get to this current level of leadership. Well, consequently, after I went to the Air Force, we came out. My mother passed on at the age of 58. I got married as soon as I graduated from high school. I had a scholarship to St. Mary's University because I was very high in the class. And I was the student council president. I was the leading actor in the senior play. I was a drill team commander. I was a colonel in the ROTC. I was everything that you wanted to be because I would. And when I was the leading actor in the senior play, Mama would be at the back of the room with a white handkerchief. And when I saw Mama there, I didn't even have a girlfriend because I was looking for her. Mama. If she would wave her handkerchief, I'd say, "Oh, Mama's here. Oh, man, this is fine. This is all mine. My vitamin pills are here. Oh my God!" And I got the best actor in the senior play. When I was a student council president, I would get up there and say a speech. I had gone to a conference in Laredo as student council president and Laredo High School, and I would look for my mama and go like, my mama would get on a bus. She was already married to Sam Durant. Would get on a bus, Prospect Hill bus, and go all the way to Lanier and walk all the way to Lanier, from Commerce to Durango, and be there with a handkerchief. And once I saw her, I said, "Oh, man, I'm good. Man, I'm so great." It was just the spirit of strength that I used to get from my mama. It was an energy like, it come and hit me, and I said, "Oh, man, I'm good." The drill team commander, I went to Alamo Stadium, my uncle to my mama, and had her on the other side. My girlfriend from Tech was on the other side, and I won the drill team competition, and I saw somebody with a handkerchief. I said, oh man, I'm going to win this drill team competition. I want it so bad, I want it for mama. And so I'm telling you, but when I went to St. Mary's University, I had three sons. I did it the hard way. I work at the State Mental Hospital. Some people say I was a patient, but no, I was a worker. But the fact I worked at State Mental Hospital from 7 to 11, from 3 to 11, and I went to school in the morning. My wife worked in a loan company, and we had my mother and a mother-in-law taking care of the kids, and it was hard. This is why I give scholarships. This is why my wife decided to give scholarship. It was my wife's idea, not mine, and to start a foundation to give scholarships, because I know the struggle that young people have going to school, financial struggle. If you're here, you want an education. So don't let anybody tell you you can't do it because you're too heavy, you're too thin, you don't have any hair, you look bad, you're ugly, you're handsome, you need one finger, you're blind, you're deaf. Don't let anybody tell you anything. Because if you're here, that means you want to do it. So you can do it. Nobody has to tell you. I don't listen to negative stuff. Somebody starts telling me, well, Tino, what happened to your hair? And I lost it in Anahuita, in the Marshall Islands. I was exposed to radiation. I was Air Research and Development Command. He said, well, have you ever had it? I said, I still have it. Oh, how do you have it? I said, look, I have it, man. I have it. You see, I have it. I said, I'm an optimist. You know, I have faith. I'm a real optimist. I said, the Lord blesses me. You know why it's like this? Because I can see the Lord more often than you do. You see, I'm looking at the Lord. You're looking straight, but you have to go like this. I don't. I see the Lord all the time. And anyway, the fact remains that I went to St. Mary's University. I was very outspoken at St. Mary's University, very verbal. The professor used to get after me. Dr. Bill Crane, who was famous at St. Mary's University as a political science professor. And then Senator Ralph Yarbrough was our senator, Mr. Democrat from Austin. He wanted to appoint somebody right after John F. Kennedy passed on, and LBJ was coming in, and he wanted to appoint somebody to the President's Committee on Mexican-American Affairs. And they wanted somebody that was pretty bilingual, English and Spanish. And since my mother read me Spanish, I was pretty bilingual in Spanish and English. A lot of the students at St. Mary's were not. And they came and interviewed 5 people from St. Mary's, Lady Lake, Incarnate and Trinity. And I told my wife, I don't have a Chinaman's chance. She said, yes, you do. He says, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And she said, it's going to happen. You're going to get it. I know how you are in interviews. How was it? I said, it was fun, but it was, I forgot the name of the assistant of Senator Ralph Yarbrough. He sent 2 guys to interview us, and we had 5 students from, including myself, from St. Mary's. And they started with St. Mary's, they went to Lady Lake, they went to Incarnate, and they went to Trinity. That was in about February of '63. I hadn't graduated. I graduated in August of '63. Well, in March of '68, I get a letter, a telegram. You have received the appointment as the GS, whatever it was, to a political appointment, Schedule B appointment, to work for the President of the United States on Mexican-American affairs. I was flabbergasted. I said, oh my God. Senator Ralph Yarbrough called me and says, I'm going to have my legislative assistant come over to San Antonio so you can drive to Austin. From Austin, we'll go to Washington and have dinner with the President so you can get a chance to meet him. I worked with LBJ for 4 years. It was a lot of fun. I learned, and this is not trying to be insulting to the President, because he was a great leader. He was power hungry. He had a red phone. He's the one who started the red phone. And profanity, the epitome of profanity was there. Every word was a curse word. He asked me, what is your name? I said, Florentino Duran. He said, Florentino Duran. He said, did anybody tell you that your grandparents were in Sicily with the Italians? I said, no, I'm a Mexican-American. He says, no, you're a Dago. Florentino is not a Spanish name, sir. He said, it's an Italian name. I said, well, what do they call you for short? I said, Tino. He said, that's it. I like that better. Florentino is too damn long. And I said, all right. So he called me Tino. And then he started calling me Pancho Villa, because He says, give me a history of your background. I said, my my grandfather's wife was Ortegon, from the sister of Pancho Villa when he called himself Ortegon, his real name, Aragon. And he said, oh my God, so we have a Pancho Villa in the midst, right? And I said, no, sir, my grandfather is the one that told me that story, and that's how I learned about that. And he says, well, all right. He says, I want solutions. When you go to L.A., when you go to San Diego, when you go to El Paso, when you go to Hartford, Connecticut, when you go to Kansas City, Mason City, Iowa, and you speak to the Hispanic community, I want solutions. I want no problems. You bring me problems, I don't need you. You bring me problems and solutions, I love you. So it was a great thing. I got together. There was a Senator Sam Nunn from Georgia. He became my mentor, and I learned how to drink scotch and water with him, and because he used to take me to the Senate gallery, and he taught me how to drink scotch and water. He said, when you get to a euphoric state of mind, you stop. He said, and now you can think. I learned one thing in Washington. The bureaucrats, the congressional executives and assistants are the ones that write all the bills. The congressman will get an idea, or the legislative aide will get an idea, legislative assistant to the congressional people. They will get an idea, they'll go to the congressman. Congressman, I have an idea for a proposal in L.A. The Mexican Americans are at unrest is happening, and I think maybe a manpower training program called so and developing English as a second language and all that kind of stuff. Write it and let me introduce it. They write it, we put it together. So I've always maintained that Congress versus the bureaucrats, and it seems like the bureaucrats run the country. People have been there a long time. The legislative assistants, congressional aides, and everything else. I mean, Senator Sam Nunn used to pick on my brain. Tell me about the Mexican Americans at Kelly Air Force Base. And I would tell him, and he would say, yes, 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 I know that's happening because I'm the Armed Services Committee and I see a lot of neglect. I didn't become a leader because I was working there, but I sense, in my inner being, I sense that I had to be a leader. I had to instill in myself, I'm a leader. I have the inherent power to be a leader, and I'm going to be a leader. My personal management style in my company, La Prensa, I'm a family person. We in Washington, everybody is striving to get promotions. Everybody's striving to remain alive. Everybody's especially when you're a Schedule B appointment like I was a Schedule B appointment. I work in the Pentagon with the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff. I would go close to the president, and he would call me and say, Pancho, yeah, come here. And he would tell me, I want you to take care of this. Go and talk to this man, and go see Secretary of Labor, Willard Wirtz. Go see Sergeant Shriver, OEO, and all those kind of things. And get me a package. I have it there. I felt sometimes like an errand boy, but I was not, because we used to sit together, and he used to tell me, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and I can't get good thoughts from the rest of the people. Give me your thoughts. And I would sit with him, and at night, I live in Georgetown, and I had a manual typewriter, a Royal, and I would type some ideas, and I said, I know tomorrow he's going to be asking me about this, I better type some ideas, and I would study those ideas. I'd go in, and he'd call me, and I said, oh my God, I could almost guess that he was going to ask me questions reference to what I had written. In my company, I decided to make it very familial. My wife is a people's person. I'm a people's person. I love to be around people. I love to get involved with people. I've been married 52 years. You saw that, we have fostered 45 kids. I have 3 adopted sons and 1 daughter adopted. And it's been a lot of fun when we had 45 kids from all over the world. And it was Melly's idea. It wasn't mine. But I never said no. If she says, I'm getting a girl from Germany, Frankfurt, Germany, from Berlin, Melly, You do whatever you want to. My wife has got multiple sclerosis. It's been flaring up on her, and I'm a caregiver at night. She can hardly walk, but during the day she's like Wonder Woman. But it's been a lot of fun. My organization philosophy, I return calls all the time. I don't like people that don't return calls. I call them and I say, did you know that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone for you to return calls? And they go, oh, well, what's the matter? Well, I've called you 5 times. God bless you, but you don't call me back. But I do it in a nice way. I said, I'm not trying to sound insultive. I love you. You know, I think of you. But please call me back. I have got something important to tell you. Okay, what's the matter, Tino? And I tell him, but I tell him, I've called you 7 times. My God, how do you run your business without returning calls? Gosh, how do you do that? Tell me how to do that, and I'll do the same thing. But I never stopped returning calls. At our company, we had an editor that has colon cancer. He got sick June 2006, and he hasn't returned. My wife paid him for 8 months. Hers was not going to pay you for 8 months. And finally, the publisher's liability insurance company and our liability insurance called, and the attorney said, I understand that you're paying Joe Sandoval for the last 8 months. And my wife says, yes. He said, well, he called when she had paid him for 6 months. He said, do you know that you're setting a bad priority, a bad precedent there? Because if somebody gets sick, they want to be paid for 30 days or 45 days because you're paying Joe for 6 months. I called Melly. I said, look, I want you to listen to this conversation. And she said, we don't work for him. He works for us. I said, so what do you mean? I'm going to continue doing it. Joe is sick, and I'm going to continue doing it. So she paid him another 2 months. We go pray for our employees. If they're sick in the hospital, we go pray. If we know that their mother is sick in the hospital, we go pray for them. We take the time. And Melly says, she said, we're going right now. Melly, I've got a report. I've got a report that I have to submit. No, you're going with me right now. We're going to Methodist Hospital to pray for the mother of this young man that's here with us. She's very sick. She has cancer. We go pray for her. All right? She's a boss. So I get up and we go. But that's the way we handled it. Motivated employees. We have birthdays. During Christmas, my wife puts money every month into a Christmas fund at San Antonio Credit Union. At the end of the year, she takes it out. She says, I got $7,000. She says, I'm going to divide it. This is how much I'm going to give this guy, your editor, your production manager, your assistant, your director of advertising, and this is how much I'm going to give him. She says, what are you giving me? You have me. That's all you need. Don't worry about that. All right. Okay, again, Melly. So she has Christmas bonus for everybody. And we have birthdays. We have anniversaries. We have a girl up front. Wednesday is the birthday of so-and-so. We need to put $2, $3, whatever you have. My wife and I always put $10 a piece. And we try and motivate the employees. We're a small family. Inside, we have 22 employees. Outside, we have another 15 for delivery. It's a lot of fun. I have learned, and with all due respect, my apologies for sounding insultive, I have learned that delegation of authority, span of control, levels of command, span of control, and levels of supervision, all those theories that I learned at St. Mary's University are not applied every time. People will bypass people, and I also learned when I got through with LBJ, Walter McAllister called me. No, I went to work for Preston Smith, investigating the border towns that get grants for migrant programs, and I was doing some investigations. I worked for Ben Barnes, and I worked for Governor Preston Smith. And I worked 2 years doing investigations after I left LBJ. And then Walter McAllister called me. Mayor McAllister says, are you tired of being a jackass? And I said, what do you mean? He says, you work for LBJ, you work for Preston Smith, now I want you to work for a nice pink elephant, the Republican Party. And I said, who am I going to work for? For me. I'm a Republican. I said, all right. He said, I'll give you $300 a day. I want you to do some investigations. 7 days a week. I'll call you in the morning on Sunday, and I'll tell you what investigation I have. Fine. So I came to work for him. And it was a lot of fun. But I've learned some people do not know what they're doing. But they're very good at not knowing what they're doing. Really, I found that out. I found it out in Washington, D.C. I found it out working for the governor. I found it out working for the mayor. The bureaucrats. You have bureaucrats, the director of public works. You have assistant police chief. You have, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I don't do that. I'm not Ken Rodriguez from the Express. I promise you that it happens. It happens. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen people run campaigns. I ran the campaign for George Bush in 1969 against Lloyd Bentsen here in San Antonio. We almost beat Lloyd Bentsen, but we did. But anyway, I'm telling you, I've seen people that do not know what they're doing, but they're great when they're showcased and they talk about the job and they talk about everything, but then they go to work and they don't know what they're doing. But they're very good at not knowing what they're doing. And people are impressed. Oh my God, this guy is so great and so good. He gets a write-up in the paper and everything else. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I found that out in Washington with congressional assistants. Congressional assistants doing all kinds of work to be able to get information and preparing something that was not theirs. And it was happening all over Washington. I found it with the governor. I found it with the mayor. I became assistant to Mayor John Gaddy because I ran the GGL campaign, Good Government League campaign in 1970, and I became assistant to Mayor John Gaddy. And I was with Gaddy many times. When he was out of town, I would tell the city council, you have an agenda. And Walter McAllister kept running the Good Government League from his office at San Antonio Savings. So I've learned the current challenges facing my organization. I was telling Jim Askin about the Express. The Express is doing an oligopoly monopoly. They're buying papers left and right. They try to whip me out of town by doing desconexión or conexión, whatever they call it. But anyway, they couldn't beat me. And now they try Cancha. Cancha is a soccer deal. And now they try 210SA. Ugly stuff. They have call girls, they have escorts, erotic massages, all kinds of stuff. And I don't have that. I don't have brujos, I don't have horoscope, I don't have brujeria, I don't have card readers, palm readers. I don't have any of that. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in it. People call and say, I'm a fortune teller. I can tell your fortune for $25. When they call like that, I take the calls. I said, you're a fortune teller? I said, yes. I said, how much you charge? $25. Oh, if I go there, will you tell me if I'm going to make any money or I'm going to get an injection of money? Oh, yeah, I can tell you that. I said, but you charge me $25? Well, why do you charge me $25? Why don't you look at your own fortune and see if you can going to inherit any money? Why you want to tell me and charge me $25 when you can make money yourself? Oh, I don't do that for myself. I do it for other people. I said, thank you very much, God. God bless you. Bye-bye. And I close the phone. And we don't take those kind of calls. We don't do that, guy. And mega giants are buying Hispanic publications across the country. I'm talking about Hearst. I'm talking about Capital Cities, Impremedia, all kinds of Gannett, USA Today. They're buying Spanish language newspapers because they see how the Hispanic community is a prominent community. It's spending $600 billion a year, 42 million Hispanics in the United States. The tortilla, the flat bread, Mexican bread, more of my brothers, the Anglo community, is eating tortillas. When I was a kid and we had tacos, taco was a foreign thing. It was a Mexican thing. Piñatas was, who knew about piñatas? A little joke, just off I know my time is limited. A little joke. And they had a bungee jump down here in San Pedro, and they had Bill and Jack running the bungee jump. All of a sudden, the fad was gone. Bill tells Jack, what do we do? Let's go to Monterey. There's a lot of people, those Mexicans spend a lot of money on entertainment. Man, they spend 3/4 of their income on entertainment. Let's go over there. These people are not coming here. They went to Monterrey. They had an 18-wheeler. They took the apparatus, the tower, and the little stand, and they set it up. He says, all right, Bill, what are you going to do? He says, Jack, you jump. We'll test run it and see if there's a lot of Mexican kids over there and see what happens. So here it goes. Bill ties Jack up. He goes down, and normally takes no more than 2 minutes, a minute and a half, for the guy to come back. And 2 minutes, 3 minutes, what happened to Jack? My God. He keeps on waiting for Jack. My God, Jack. Here comes Jack. Lacerations, blood coming out of his ears, out of his nose. He said, what happened? He says, I don't know. Those stupid kids, they were hollering, pinata, 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 and hit me all over. I don't know what the hell that means. Acculturation, acculturation. Acculturation and assimilation. And it happens. It's happening now. Look at ketchup. Ketchup is now second to hot sauce. You know, the condiment. You go in someplace, you want ketchup. No, do you have any hot sauce? My wife was asking for hot sauce at the Palladium. You have any hot sauce? I said, what are you going to put hot sauce on? Oh, we have jalapenos. Jalapenos in the theater. Years ago, jalapeno was Mexican. Garcia and jalapeno go together, not Thompson and jalapeno. And it's happening. So people are understanding that the acculturation is there. Now, what worries me in this Reform and Control Act of Immigration, that one of the stipulated provisions, regardless of who does it, I don't think the Republicans are going to do it, but must learn English and speak English. Is that going to wipe out Spanish across the country? No, I don't think so. But it's going to shift the thing around to being very bilingual, which my paper is. But I don't know whether it's the lobbyists. When I was in D.C., I met lobbyists that would say, can you help me with this bill? No, sir, I can't help you with that bill. I work for the president, but I can't help you with a bill. It's being introduced by Congressman so-and-so, Hubert Humphrey, and he's a Democrat, and I'm a Democrat too, but I can't help you. You have to talk to the legislative assistant. Well, how much does it take for you to help me? It doesn't take anything. Oh, you'll do it free of charge? No, I don't take anything. I mean, Mr. Duran, is there any way we can talk about that congressional bill that we have coming up before the floor and see if there's any way you can influence the president? How much will it cost? I don't know. You better go ask the congressman submitting that bill. So I have no idea. I'm not a congressman. You know, I'm just an assistant on Mexican Americans. Yeah, but it's going to affect the Mexican Americans. I know. But you want to call LBJ? You can call LBJ if you can get through. I doubt if you can get through. But it happens. It happens. But I can tell you, I'm afraid of the pendulum going this way, and Spanish language newspapers are going to feel the impact of it. The congressional people, the lobbyists are going to be there talking to congressional people. We got to make those immigrants speak English and read English. Otherwise, get them back to Mexico. Get them back to where they came from. They say 12 million, now they're saying 20 million. They don't even know how many. How do you corral 12 million immigrants? Kay Bailey Hutchinson, she was my favorite. She's not my favorite anymore. She says they go back to Mexico, they come back to Ellis Island, the Statue of Liberty, and they start coming in one by one, and they have to pay the fees. Come on, they're not cattle, dogs, herd. They're people. So I'm totally against what's being said, and I've lost faith, and I'm still a Republican, but I lost faith in my Republican people. George W. Bush is a special friend of mine, and I knew him because I had a paper in Fort Worth, El Informador Hispano, and I supported his father for president. I helped his father run in San Antonio against Lloyd Benson. He calls me when I supported his father. He came to see me. I had a VIP box at the Texas Rangers, the stadium, and we became good friends. I call him. It takes me one day, and he calls me back. And I said, I'm disenchanted. Luckily that I was born on this side, but my parents were illegal immigrants. My parents would be running away from you guys now. I'm distraught. I don't know what else to tell you, but I'm sure not buying what you guys are doing. Tino, I'm the ones trying to change it. My people in Congress don't want to change it. I want to give them at least some kind of amnesty. Well, it's not happening. It's not happening. He said, your party is certainly not doing it. He says, neither the Democrats. And he blames the Speaker of the House, and we talk, and nothing happens. But I can tell you that the current challenges are big companies. The Express, I had a rack right here by the phone a month ago. I came and brought it personally. My circulation manager told me last week, that rack is gone, but 210 SA from the Express is there. I came over today, I went, my rack is gone. And it's happening in a lot of restaurants. And I'm not accusing them. I'm just saying it's happening. It's happening. My racks cost $54. They can afford to buy more because they make billions of dollars, 234 publications in the nation, and I only have one. But I'm not conceding. You know, God bless them. May the Lord help them. But I know He's helping me too. So we are a striving newspaper. We have a lot of people learn how to speak English because of the newspaper. And I mean Spanish. Illiterates were coming from Mexico, could not read Spanish, and they opened La Prensa to learn Spanish. I have a lot of people in their 80s that come over and say, "Do you know that I learned how to read Spanish by reading La Prensa when I came from Mexico because I was completely illiterate. I did not read Spanish, English, anything." And that gives me a sense of pride because we're providing that same paper, and people look at it, and it makes me very proud. There's a lot of things that are happening out in the world, you know, with the technology of computers. To tell you the truth, I don't use a computer. I don't have time. When I was with the president, I used a legal-sized pad. When I was with the governor, I would use a legal-sized pad. I still use a legal-sized pad. I buy 30 computers. I buy the printers. I buy the software because my son is an expert, and I don't use them. I don't have the time. I have about 600 emails a week, and they're driving me. I want to choke the guy that invented the emails with an email. But the fact remains that it's modern times. It's modern times. Technology is very important. I pray that you don't give up for any reason. Anybody tells you you can't do it, tell them, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Watch me graduate and watch me make it.